Hello YouTube, Goddard Radio Moscow here again with another beer review for you, as is usual. Now today I actually want to celebrate a little bit because I just booked a 2-week trip with two of my best friends to Iceland, so we're all quite excited to go up there. But I thought it'd be really cool to celebrate by doing another Icelandic beer review for you. And I've done 3 reviews from this brewery so far, and they really seem to like them actually. They shared them on their Facebook page last time, and they also gave me the title of Ale Slinger of Aberdeen, which is really quite cool. And hopefully I can actually go and visit their brewery when I go up to Iceland in Akureyri. So today we're going to revisit the Einstök Ölgerð and have a taste of their Icelandic toasted porter. Although unfortunately this is actually the last beer in their core range that I still have to review at present, so I want to issue them a challenge to make more beer. As I've said in my other beer reviews, these guys are really cool because you get some quite mainstream beer styles, but they have a really unique take on them because of the water that you get in Iceland. It adds a really kind of nice sort of minerally effect to it. So give these guys a try and see what you think. You get a really kind of unique take on like wheat beer and pale ales and stuff. It's really good beer. Check out the Einstök Ölgerð. The brewery website is in the video description there, along with the link to my other 3 reviews that I've done for these guys. The Facebook page is also in there as well, so if you want the most up-to-date news from the Einstök Ölgerð, follow them on Facebook. And as is usual with my beer reviews, I'll take you through a brief history of the brewery and tell you a little bit about where the beer comes from and all of this sort of thing. But as I always say, if you are simply just interested in the tasting of the beer, just go towards the second half of the video, and I'll also put the little box up here for you to click on so you can go forward there right away. But anyway, the history of this company goes back to 2010, and it was founded by the Americans Bernard Labori, David Altshuler and Jack Sichterman, and they're all self-confessed beer geeks. And Jack actually used to work for Harley Davidson motorcycle company, while David is actually a lawyer and deals with most of the legal aspects involved with having the brewery. But the foundation of the brewery is actually the water in Iceland, as I mentioned a minute ago, and it's one of the purest in the world due to the high magnesium and calcium content that you associate with the sort of volcanic environment that you get up there. And they say that this is the major selling point of the brewery. But the 3 men actually partnered up with Vilafell, who are a beverage bottler and distributor, and they're actually one of the most respected companies in Iceland. But this company, Vilafell, actually also owned the Viking Brewery in Akureyri in northern Iceland, and this was where the collaboration to create a brewery began. Now Akureyri is just 60 miles south of the Arctic Circle, and it's a small sort of fishing port town. I think it's a population of about 60,000 or something they have, and Iceland is indeed a very small country as well. They've only got a population of about 320,000, although they've got a huge landmass to that relative to the population, of course. But the water in this area flows from rain and prehistoric glaciers down the Hlíðarfjall mountain and through the lava fields, and apparently this is one of the purest water sources in the world. Now the collaboration for the Einstök brewery also includes Baldur Karason, the master brewer, and he was born in a small town called Siglafjordur in the north of Iceland, and he moved to Akureyri in 1981. But after completing his school education in the city, he began to work for the Viking Brewery in quality control and food science, and it was there that his interest in brewing actually originated. Now in 1993 he left Iceland to study in the prestigious brewing programme at Heriot-Watt University in Edinburgh in Scotland, and he actually became the first Icelander to complete this course in over 50 years. And upon his return to Iceland, he became the head brewer at the Viking Brewery, where he's introduced several new recipes and increased the production of the brewery also. And he's also worked closely with Löwenbräu in Carlsberg and also the Dumens Institute in Germany, and he's advanced his knowledge in brewing quite heavily, which makes him the ideal head brewer for Einstök. Interestingly though, while the company is based in Iceland, their biggest market is actually California, where the founders are based, and as I said before, that's just simply due to the sort of small population that you have in Iceland. But they recently launched in Florida, and they also have a fairly significant market in the United Kingdom also, and the most recent events actually show that they were distributing their beer to Iceland and Finland also as well now. And they've actually also, I think the most recent event that they had was that they were distributing their beer in New York State and also Pennsylvania as well. But they say that Iceland is their primary market, but for this reason, they're big. Then, as I mentioned before, the small population is the reason for their big presence in California as well, and that's obviously where the founders are based too. But their marketing slogan in the USA is "Drink, Conquer, Repeat," and they say that this is the battle cry for modern Vikings for the great adventure ahead. And if you go through their Facebook page, you see a lot of references to kind of Vikings, and when the Thor movies came out a little while ago, there was a lot of things involving that as well. So the guys, I think, have a really kind of real interest in sort of Nordic mythology and the Viking the sort of Viking history and all of this sort of thing. So it's really quite cool actually that they're embracing this Nordic culture. But to list the other beers that you can get from this brewery, they also do a white ale, which is actually really beautiful. They do a pale ale, and they also have the Christmas Doppelbock, which is a Christmas seasonal only, and they also have the Arctic Berry Ale. So hopefully I can pick up that one when I'm in Iceland for you actually, because it's a summer seasonal one, so hopefully I can pick that up, and I think it is actually an exclusive to the Icelandic market at the moment. But I'll just bring up the camera and let you have a little look at the bottle and cap on this beer, and I'll just explain a few things that are actually in the on the bottle here. I'll just bring it up so you can see it. And there you can see the nice Icelandic head, the nice sort of Viking head on this guy here. Ölgerð, of course, in Icelandic means brewery, and the word Einstök apparently means unique, which they say is, they basically mean by this, it's quite an interesting marketing slogan in fact, because they say there's nothing else in the world like this beer, and this is kind of referring to the water source that they have up there in Iceland again. As you can see next to the Viking head here, it says north 65 degrees, west 18 degrees, and this is the shorthand coordinates for the brewery location in Akureyri. At the bottom as well it says Serfram Lidur, which actually means brewed, it means speciality brewed or specially brewed in Icelandic, and and I should also point out that the Icelandic word for toast is skal as well. I think it's also the same in Swedish, but I'm not too sure about that. But skal is the Icelandic word for toast, or whatever, however you want to say it, prost, slange as we say in Scotland. But they're very keen on sort of promoting the Icelandic culture, which is really, really cool, because it's a very Iceland is a very, very cool country, but obviously it's very small, so people don't know so much about it. So it's really cool to actually find a beer from Iceland. So let's get on to the tasting of this guy now. And oh, I forgot to show you the bottle cap. In fact, you can see it's the nice, cool Einstök Ölgerð battle axes on there, and all the beers have the same bottle cap on it, which is quite cool. Actually, I should also point out the only difference on the labels tends to be the colour. You can see all the labels are the same. The white one is white, the pale ale is blue, the Doppelbock is green, and also with the Doppelbock, you have different antlers. You've got antlers on top of the Viking's head, and also a Rudolph nose as well, which is quite cool. But let's get this guy open and get on with the tasting. This guy is a 6.0% porter beer. It uses Bavarian hops, and it's malted with lager, Munich, and chocolate malts, and it also contains some Icelandic roasted coffee as well. So it should be a really interesting one to try, but let's get it open and see how we get on here. So you can see a nice smoky opening as we get it out. You can actually smell a little bit of the coffee just coming out of this as I pour it. But let's get it out and see how we get on here. Just sugar up the last little bit, get everything out. Quite a bit of sediment actually coming out of it there. Probably just because I've had it in the fridge and it's been quite cool. I've actually had this beer for a few months, but it's just because I was away in Germany, of course. But as you can see, a nice sort of khaki and beige head on this one. Very, very foamy, I should point out. If I hold this beer just up to the light, it's actually not got anything coming through it. As I can see, if I put my fingers behind it, you can't really see through it. I can see just a little bit of visible carbonation, but it's definitely a sort of kind of rosewood or chestnutty brown colour, this one. That's probably the best way to describe it, but it looks really attractive. The head is actually just kind of fading to a very kind of thin foam, if you like, at the moment, but a nice sort of khaki head on top of it there. In terms of the aroma with this guy, I'm getting a lot of sort of coffee just coming off it at the start. A very kind of sweet coffee there. You're getting quite a bit of caramel actually underlying in it there. It's a really sweet sort of coffee aroma. There's a nice underlying of kind of chocolate in there too. It's quite a sweet aroma, in fact, for a porter. This is actually one of the more sweet ones that I've smelled. It's a really nice aroma. If you get the chance to try this, just take a little bit of time and have a little sniff of it. It's a really beautiful smelling beer, and you can actually smell a little bit this kind of unique water source to it. It does smell quite minerally at the same time. But yeah, it's a very roasted aroma. You've got just a nice kind of sweet coffee in there, some toffee brown sugars, of course, and in the background you've just got a little bit of chocolate. Maybe even you can pick up just a very, very faint hint of like a sort of treacly licorice thing as well. But it's mainly a kind of sweet coffee and chocolate on the nose, and I think you can pick up just a little bit of the kind of caramel malts in there as well. But let's give it a taste and see how we get on. the first thing that's hitting me with this beer is just how fresh it is. Actually, I've had this bottle for a few months, and it seems to keep quite well, obviously, and it's something that you'll notice with the beers. The first thing that struck me with the beers before is that they have this, like I say, they have this nice minerally taste, but this one does actually, from what I would say, this one actually tastes quite a bit fresh, quite a bit more fresh than the other ones, I would say. Although the other beers are beautiful beers, don't get me wrong on that. But this guy has a nice sort of freshness to it. But yeah, there's a lot of roasted character to it. You're getting the nice typical Einstök mouthfeel to this one. It's got that really nice, very smooth and very kind of minerally water, the kind of hard water, if you like, or I'm not sure if you describe it as hard or soft if it's got minerals in it, but it's a very mineral water kind of taste to it as well, and it complements the nice kind of roasted underlying of this beer really beautifully. In fact, this is another really good beer. But yeah, it's very like I say, you've got this nice roasted underlying character that is just a tiny little hint of maybe smoke in there as well, but the coffee kind of comes out in the beer just at the start, and you get a little bit more of a kind of chocolatey underlying to this in the middle of the taste. Yeah, the coffee is the thing that comes out at the start of the taste on the kind of front of the tongue. And as the flavour goes, you're getting the kind of sort of chocolatey sweetness lying on the tongue there, with just a little hint of the kind of caramel malts. The caramel, I think, is quite subtle. It's mainly the coffee and chocolate that are blending together to give you that nice kind of taste. There is... The coffee is kind of coming back again in the aftertaste. And it's a really, the flavour of this one's really quite interesting. The coffee comes in, then it kind of goes away and then comes back, which is quite interesting. And like I say, in the middle of the beer, you're really getting the nice caramel and sort of chocolatey lying in the very middle of the tongue. It works. The flavour of this guy is done really well. It kind of goes up and down and comes back, and the aftertaste of this is actually really nice. This is one of the nicest porters I've actually had, I would say. On the finish as well, it is actually, you get a slightly kind of bitter dark chocolate taste to it, but it's very well done. It kind of quickly subsides into just that nice little chocolatey sweetness again. It's a really nice flavour on this beer. You really need to try these if you get the chance. But yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel, it has it's actually slightly drier than the other beers you get from the Einstök Ölgerð, and it has a little bit more of a bitter character to it as well, I would say, in comparison with the other ones. The other ones are all quite well... the other one, I would say, the Doppelbock is a very kind of quite well malty beer, and the wheat beer has that nice kind of yeasty character to it. The pale ale is a little bit more hoppy, but it definitely, even as a pale ale, it's not more bitter than this beer. This is actually the most bitter one of the beers that they do, but it's not overly bitter. It's very well done again. But yeah, the mouthfeel has quite a bit more of a dry character in comparison to the other beers that they do. It has that little bit of a kind of a bitter mouthfeel, like I say. It's kind of, I would say it's moderately carbonated, and it's actually quite smooth at the same time. And that's another kind of thing you can attribute to this kind of mineral water that they use in the beer. And it also has this nice, slightly oily mouthfeel that is also a result of this nice water as well. And it works with the flavour really well. And as I've mentioned before, this is the trademark of this brewery. The water source gives you a really kind of unique take on some quite well-known beer styles. And as I said at the start of the video, I really hope to see more beer coming out of this brewery and new different styles to try. I'd really like to see how the Icelandic water would do with like a red ale or a brown ale or something, because you get a really nice porter, wheat ale and pale ale, and the Doppelbock is also really awesome as well. So hopefully I can see some more beers from the Einstök Ölgerð. I recommend that you try all the beers from this brewery. You're not going to be disappointed with any of them. I've really enjoyed doing the reviews for these guys, and I would definitely say this is probably one of the best sort of all-round breweries that I've reviewed for you so far on my channel. I think this is video number 202. So I think it's fair to say that this is one of the best all-round breweries that I've reviewed for you so far on the channel. So go and check them out. Check out the links I've put in the video description there. I hope you've enjoyed my beer review, and I've not been rambling too much about this one, but it's a really, really nice beer, this one. In terms of a porter, I think this is probably a very, very good porter for you to try, and it's quite, as I say, it's quite unique in the style because of the water that you get in Iceland, and that's the trademark of the Einstök Ölgerð. So if you have tried this beer, please let me know in the video description your own thoughts on it, and please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. It's been great doing this beer review for you again. Check out that Einstök Ölgerð. I'll hopefully get up to visit them when I go to Iceland in July, so I'm really looking forward to my trip up there. I'll hopefully be able to review the Icelandic berry ale for you from these guys soon as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. Please like, subscribe, share. As I mentioned, all the usual YouTube stuff. I'll catch you soon with another beer review. Cheers.